All right, guys, I think I've stalled long enough. We're a minute past the start, so let's go ahead and get going. Welcome to this PayTrace Power 30. My name is Sam Johnson. I am a sales trainer at PayTrace. With us is Eric Jenks, National Sales Manager. Guys, if you are new to these webinars, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping and what to expect for the next half hour. Power 30 is really your insight into PayTrace, into the industry, to learn a little bit about what we're doing in the background and some things to expect. We've got about 30 minutes. You'll notice as you are getting logged in, you are muted. We want to do that just to reduce any of that background noise clutter. I will say you may hear a dog barking on Eric's end or a cat meowing on my end, but it's just kind of the modus operandi right now. But if you do have questions, comments, emotional outbursts as we go through today's conversation, we want to encourage you to open up the little Q&A box. Go ahead and wiggle your mouse around on your Zoom window. You should see it at the bottom. Open that up. Send in any questions. We'll try to tackle some as we go through, and we'll probably shell out about 5+ minutes at the end of today's call to answer your questions. All right, I think that's it. Guys, so this is a little bit of a different Power 30. For those of you that have been on these previously, you know that we usually bring on a guest. I do the host thing. We interview them. It's kind of like that late night talk show thing. This time, Eric wanted to put me in the hot seat. So Eric, I'm gonna give you the reins.
Hey Sam, the tables have turned, right? So this particular Power 30, I'm really hoping will be a lot collaborative with the folks that are on there. So Q&A is going to be super important. So if you have questions on the topics, we're going to actually have a couple different poll questions. And so make sure that you're near the keyboard. Sam mentioned earlier Q&A. Denny, I agree. This is a cool shirt. Our marketing team is pretty awesome. I'll see what I can do on that request for the cool shirt. But keep the interaction. Yeah, and see Sam's sporting another one. That was when we launched EMV 2.0. I love that sweatshirt. It's one of the best sweatshirts I have, I think. So
thanks, marketing.
Yes, indeed. James, you're the man. Today's topic, I think is something that if you're here, you're already ahead on the game, quite frankly. But we want to talk about knowledge is power. I was trying to get ready. I saw a quote from Benjamin Franklin, very quotable guy. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And Sam Johnson is our investment into helping our partners make more money. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So I'm super excited to chat with him about the training opportunities that you may have already taken or may not know about. And also, but collaboratively work together and see what tools you guys used to stay ahead in this, rapidly changing industry. Before we get started, a couple things about Sam Johnson. Sam, how long have you been using PayTrace? It's one of my favorite stories.
All right, I like that one. That might lead into some things I talk about later, actually. So I've worked at PayTrace for the last 5 years. I started in April 2016, but I've used PayTrace for an additional year longer than that. And the reason for that is because I actually used to be a merchant using PayTrace. That was my introduction. I worked in an arena football team up here in Spokane, Washington. And I was introduced to PayTrace as our payment solution. So anytime I sold, ticket sales, corporate sponsorships, things like that, we'd run our payments through PayTrace. And one day I saw an opportunity open up and I was like, oh, cool, I know PayTrace. And sure enough, they were actually located, the headquarters was in the same city. So I'm like, this is pretty serendipitous. Let's do it. So thanks for taking a chance on me, boss man.
Indeed. Good investment. A couple things I want to highlight on there that Sam said. I think there are real nuggets there. Number one, get a testimonial, getting people to use the product, even use it yourself, right? Sam, I mean, folks can get their own demo account, right? That you should be able to use this yourself.
You should. And you should email Eric Jenks at ericjenks@paytrace.com for your demo account. That's not his actual email, but yeah, please follow up with us if you need access to a demo account.
Yeah, if you don't have a demo, ping my team, sales at PayTrace. We'll get you a demo account, and if you have your own testimonial like Sam. The other thing that I mentioned there was kind of surprising. Ticket sales could be B2B.
Yeah. It actually, I'd say, was primarily B2B. a lot of my job was outside sales. And as much as I didn't like calling families when they're doing family time, I didn't, right? Actually, primarily, large part of my business was selling B2B. I'd sell to businesses for ticket packages for themselves, for their employees, for sponsorships, right? How can we promote your business at a sporting event, right? There's some cool value in there. So, um, uh, an area of a vertical that a lot of people don't think of as B2B, right? Sports, arena football, basketball, is actually very heavily B2B. Most of my business was
That
business.
that may be one of the worst tips I give you, because ticket sales, quite frankly, have not been great
Not right now.
in the last 18 months.
Give it some
But
time. Give it some
give it
time.
some time. And then the main point being, you may be surprised where B2B crops up, right?
Yeah.
Some of these places could be different. Next question. This is still in the rapport building. Let's get to know Sam Johnson. There was a note on the invitation for cat trivia. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you get the reputation for cat trivia?
Oh, we're gonna start with my reputation, huh?
Yeah, reputation first.
All right. Well, I've got cats. I have 3 cats. I love my little fur babies. They're annoying, but they're great, and they're keeping me sane while I'm working from home. They're a fun little distraction, but always have cats. I also volunteer at a cat shelter, Partners for Pets in Spokane, Washington. If any of you want to rescue a cat, come see me. We've got a lot of great cats that are needing some nice homes, some forever homes.
Excellent. All right, let's transition a little bit. I saw another quote from someone else who was very quotable, Mary J. Blige. She said, "I wish I knew that education was the key, that knowledge is power. Now I pick up books and watch educational shows like Sam Johnson, and I see that knowledge can elevate you."
Hmm.
And so I want to talk about that piece. How can knowledge elevate you, Sam? We're in a rapidly changing industry. What do you do? What do you use to continue your education?
I love it. Right? The trainer needs education all the time because I need to be able to pass that along to all of my trainees. You know, as far as our industry goes, it's an ever-changing industry. Every single month there's a new widget, some sort of new program that one of the card brands, some ISOs releasing, new regulations. So when it comes to staying on top of that, I like to use some of the traditional resources. I sign up for all the newsletters from things like the Green Sheet, Digital Transactions. I check that out every day. We're members on ETA. So they push out a whole ton of webinars, a whole bunch of good information. Um, and then I use a lot of LinkedIn. I like to see what my peers are saying. A lot of folks are doing a lot of writing right now, especially as we're kind of working from home still. And um, so I like to watch their videos and read some of their articles. I'd say overall, in general, I think professional development is a very essential thing to anybody that's in a sales role, right? You want to constantly stay on top of your game. So, one thing that I do as kind of a professional growth thing is I'm a member of Toastmasters. So I every Monday morning at 6:45 a.m. I go to a Toastmasters club. Right now we're virtual, but I don't love getting up super early on Monday mornings. I'd like to sleep in if I could, but it's a great way to start my day. And it's a really great use of my time to build my communication skills, to build my leadership skills, and just finding things that really resonate with you, right? Toastmasters isn't going to be for everybody, but finding something that works for the individual, I think is definitely worth your time. Always have that professional growth mindset.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Bright and early on Monday, kind of a radical shift from the weekend to the week, and learn some really good meeting management, people skills.
Yeah.
I would highly encourage you, if you want to join Sam's club, you can, but just look it up. Been a valuable tool. One of the first ISOs that I worked with really recommended me to use Toastmasters, and I haven't regretted it. It's times well spent. A couple other things: newsletters,
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I love that. Real-time information, sometimes some great information, sometimes not so great, but keeps you on the cutting edge. Do we want to check with folks on what they're using?
Yeah, I'm curious. We went into this planning this call and with this education mindset, and me and Eric do a lot of things, but we're not the smartest guys in any room typically. So I'm curious, guys, would you mind opening up your Q&A box and send us through, what do you guys use to continue your education, your professional growth? Is it any of those things that we listed off, industry wise? Do you read all the books, the Ice to Eskimos, the Tim Robbins, all that stuff? We're curious.
So yeah, Power 30. Thank you.
I love
That's
it.
good.
Todd, you rock, man.
Excellent.
Power
Some
30 with PayTrace.
recommendations. Good.
That's right. Yeah, if you're here, you're doing something for professional development, or you're just
Yeah.
killing 30 minutes. Either way, thank you guys. Janae uses LinkedIn, also reads for 30 minutes before the world wakes up. I love that. Zach, avid reader of sales books. Jeb Blunt, Stephen Munch also says Jeb Blunt. That's interesting. Chamber of Commerce. That's awesome. Great way to network, meet some people. Doug, all the above. Masterclass. Oh, Hank. My wife signed us up for Masterclass this year as a Christmas present. We haven't dug into it yet, but I think there's some really interesting things for cooking and for acting and even for some sales professional development. That's cool.
A couple folks mentioning podcasts. If you have a chance, I'm super interested. I've been trying to get my steps in as I get rid of my COVID-19 pounds. And I'm really interested in podcasts. So if you guys have any that you can share, we're collecting this on purpose because we intend to follow up with you, and we'll share some of these resources as we see that they may be helpful with everybody. Let's go ahead and continue to pivot. Another quote, Sam: knowledge is power, information is liberating. Education is the premise of progress in every society. Education is the premise of progress. I have been super excited as you've taken over training because I've seen you progress and move training forward. But what's training working on right now?
Well, right now, obviously, we're here on the Power 30, so we're always looking for ways to push content out to our partners, right? That's something that I think PayTrace is really striving for. Is we're very interested in the success of our sales partners because we don't sell merchant services. So how do we get in front of you guys? How do we get you the knowledge so that you can be successful with us? So in particular, outside of just Power 30s, we do the ISV spotlights. We're going to ramp that up this year so we can talk more about integrations. A couple hot topics that seem to be percolating up. Security is one of them. You should expect some webinars in the near future, and maybe even some YouTube videos on some security tools and best practices that you can leverage with PayTrace, and that really all merchants and processors and ISOs should be doing currently. I would say on top of that, we're also doing a focus on card not present, right? It's something that PayTrace does really well. And it's something that, especially right now, we're in kind of still in a weird space with COVID. It's been almost a year, and it really does feel like the new normal. So how can we help our merchants with tools like card not present transactions when face-to-face is so kind of hit or miss right now? So I'd say stay tuned for that, and hopefully we are working on some new products. And so we'll have some more information on that here in the near future.
You got a couple tricks up your sleeve, but we're saving for the later. I want to highlight one thing Sam mentioned there. Forewarned is forearmed. My dad was in the military, so we have tons of quotes like this. And but forewarned, forearmed. We are seeing a spike in fraud right now, right? And so responding, the marketing team put out a new blog. If you're not on that, getting that information, super helpful. Yep. Sam's cranked out a short video, right? And there's some stuff coming out. I'll just tell you, my experience is watch these things, practice the words, like read them out loud, because when your merchant calls and they're upset because they had, like I just experienced yesterday, 62,000 transactions that were run through fraudulently and are looking at a multi-$1,000 per transaction bill, you kind of need to be prepared. Right. And so watching those videos, reading those resources can help you save an account. So
it's much better to be proactive than reactive on those types of things.
Yep, absolutely. Sam, let's get specific to case studies. Any case studies of successful sales tactics?
Um, I'll give I'll give you two.
Sounds good. I'll take two.
One will be personal, myself as a case study. When I was fresh out of college and first getting into sales back in the Idaho for a basketball team, I thought this is going to be the easiest gig ever, right? Everybody who doesn't love sports, you're muted, but I think you're saying something really cool. Um, you're on mute. There you go. So I'm like, yeah, selling basketball, it's going to be easy. I'm going to have a ton of fun. I'm going to be working in basketball. I'm going to make a ton of money. And basketball in Idaho isn't for everybody. I found out, and I found out that um, it's a push, right? Sales is really tough. So when I was told like, I'd have to go through some sales training, right? We are going to have some sales trainers come in and help our team out. I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, well, I feel like I can do this, right? And I learned a lot, right? I thought that selling was selling a product. I thought selling basketball was literally selling tickets, and it really wasn't. It was selling the emotional experience of going to the games, right? You talk to a family, you're selling an experience, you're selling bonding with your kids. If you're talking to a business, you're talking about client retention, client appreciation, boosting team morale. You're talking about, right, how to get an audience of 10,000 people in an arena engaged with your product and promoting your business, right? It's hardly ever about the actual thing that you're selling. And I see that with PayTrace. Yeah, we sell tools, we sell payment software, but we're really selling efficiency in payments. We're selling streamlining cash flow. We're selling interchange optimization, right? There's so much to it than just being able to accept a credit card. So I think that's a big value that we can provide with sales training. Going into an actual case study with PayTrace, Marcy, I know you're on this call, but a few years ago, Marcy and I went out to a partner visit back when traveling was still okay. And we did this big presentation. I think at the time, this group was pretty large, but they were boarding maybe 2 to 4 accounts on PayTrace a month. But afterwards, we measured it probably over the next 6 months. And Marcy, feel free to hop into the Q&A and tell me if I'm lying. But I want to say that this company went from 2 to 4 accounts up to 15 to 20 PayTrace accounts per month, following, right, having that interaction with our accounts team and our sales training team, and really learning the value that PayTrace can provide. Trying to stay as humble as possible and not toot my own horn. I'm finding that that's kind of difficult, but right, there is a correlation there.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, 2 accounts to 10 accounts is a significant delta, right? I mean, that's putting money in the people's pockets. So,
Right.
and that's great. I'd like to get some specifics here. I think there's a couple more poll questions that we have, and one of them I think is about people and topics. So I'll just ask this. We, as we look into the year, are kind of interested on what topics we can tackle. Like I see, Todd, you had a question about website. We'll get to that here in just a second. But what topics do you want us to tackle? Do you want to hear more on fraud? Do you want to hear more on, Visa interchange rates as they're coming out, our opinion on them? And also people, we've had James Shepard on the call. We loved having him. And if there are other folks that you'd want to see interviewed, on a call like this, it might bring value to you. Go ahead and go into Q&A, plug in people or topics that you'd like to chat about on the Power30.
I see Denny raising his hand. I'm guessing Denny wants to volunteer.
Yeah, Denny, he's like, pick me. That's awesome.
Denny, maybe we can talk about that. Yeah, we've got a few people maybe queued up over the next few months, so stay tuned for more of that. But definitely want to know who you're listening to. I saw Jeb Blunt come out a few times. I've never heard of Jeb, but I'll have to look him up. Maybe he'll want to be a guest. I'm seeing competition to PayTrace. Okay, Marcy's interested in learning a little bit more about how PayTrace is positioned in the industry. Charlie's interested on interchange rates. Tom, level 2 and level 3. man, I don't know if I can make any more courses on interchange in level 2 and level 3. I could probably pump out something. That's good data for us, guys. Janae, fraud trends, rookie mistakes. Okay. Seemingly untouched verticals. Janae, I've got a course that's perfect for you. Finding success in untapped markets. Let's follow up after this and we can talk about that. I love it. A lot of fraud, interchange optimization, retention. Okay, Eric, I think I've got some work over the next few months.
Job security.
Job security, that's right.
Excellent. There's some questions that have been percolating at now. It's going to be a little bit challenging to go through some of this feedback, but do you want to try tackling a few of those?
I know we've been diluting the Q&A box with questions and answers, so let's try to pull out some of these. Eric, I'm going to throw this one at you. We've been talking about the EMV mobile app for a few months now, and John's asking the question, any updates on the release of the new EMV Bluetooth reader for mobile?
Yeah, it's like super. And we had a little hiccup, to be honest. There were a few changes at IDTech that came in unexpectedly in the last week, but they are shipping, right? I actually have one in my hot little hands, right? They're really, really cool. The IDTech VP3300. So if you want to be in the beta, you can talk to my team. You just email sales@paytrace.com and we'll work out a process to get you in that process. I anticipate, if we can get through these last little hiccups, the most recent firmware update should be out I don't want to say any day, but we're in the any week category. So, but we are kicking folks into beta. And so if you have somebody that's interested, target market for this stuff, Sam, who are we finding that are really good candidates for EMV mobile?
Everyone.
Everyone. That's
everyone with a phone.
Yeah,
Get it out there. I'd say just from initial looking at our existing mobile application without the EMV, we're seeing a lot of the businesses that have workers out in the field. I always preach contractors, specialty contractors. So just the other day we had a guy come out to my house to fix my fireplace. It was cold and I wanted a fire. So he came out and I paid on site, right? So think of all those technicians, those builders, those contractors. They love it. Again, PayTrace has the interchange optimization, so it works really well for that. Anybody going to trade shows, conferences, those types of things also seem to resonate pretty well.
And you layer on the B2B level 3, and you'll find a really niche category, something different than Square, right? And so a couple folks are in the beta are tool guys. You see their trucks on the road. They're hitting mechanics and shops. Those things aren't cheap. Love those tools, but they're not cheap. Good candidate. And I agree. Specialty contracting is really great. So any other questions on there that catch your attention, Sam?
Doug was asking you to hold it up again. He wants to see it.
Oh, I already put it away, but I was surprised. We were telling people it's like the size of a deck of cards. And I actually think that's misleading because I think it's actually the size of half a deck of cards. So there's that device. You put the card in right there. You can swipe or chip read. We are not doing contactless this on day one. If you have the app, download the PayTrace app for free right now. And you can link your demo account to it. Again, demo account, sales, paytrace.com. And yeah, I did it and it took like 30 seconds. Yeah, it was amazing. Like to get it all configured and up and running. Super easy.
We have a couple Todds on here. We've got our normal Todd, but now we've got another Todd. Todd V asking, might be off subject, but everything's relevant. You've got a captive audience, Todd. Can PayTrace set up a merchant website and shopping cart to process through our gateway? Eric?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes.
We actually have a couple ways. If you have engineers who speak programming, then the API is beautiful, super easy. If you don't have folks that do that, payment link. Just came out last week. Have an awesome video. If you go to YouTube, is it still our most watched video?
It's our most watched video. If you check out the PayTrace YouTube channel, just sort it by most viewed. You'll see
And
my ugly mug right on there talking about payment link.
check it out. So yes, would love to talk to you more if you have more specific questions.
Maybe just the last one, put a bow on the EMV mobile since people are very interested in that. Jesse's asking, does it do level 2 and level 3?
Yes, it does. And it does it without having to type in, 20, 30 fields of data. So for those folks in the field who are trying to go, convenient, now they can get that level 3 savings without, having to worry about that.
And I'll add a little extra on that. Everything that PayTrace does level 2 and level 3 automatically. So mobile, payment link, e-commerce, right? All that stuff. Everything PayTrace touches, level 2 and level 3 when it's applicable.
Yeah, 100 basis points of savings a lot of times with a lot of those level 3 cards. We're coming on time. Sam, how do people schedule training?
Good question, Eric. How do people schedule training? Well, I've got an email box, sales training at paytrace.com. Again, that's sales training at paytrace.com. I also have a calendar, right? So I have this little one sub calendar where you can schedule a sales training with me directly. I'd love to get to know our partners a little bit better and learn what you guys are doing and what your goals are. I'm actually going to post this in our Q&A box. So if you guys want to open that up, you should be able to see the link there momentarily. Actually, will this go in the chat box? Oh, look at James in there. So this is going in the chat box right below James's link to the YouTube channel. And Eric, we had a question from Charlie earlier if there would be any prizes on today's call, which we've never done before. I'm just going to call that out. We've never done prizes on Power30, but
yeah, I got money burning a hole in my pocket. So yes, absolutely. I want your team to go from 2 to 10, like Sam was talking about. And I think it's actually really attainable. So if you can get your team, so I'm going to say, get a couple of your folks that are in your team to get on one of the Power30s with Sam, I'll send you $25 Amazon gift card. So I'm going to limit it to the first 4 that schedule something with their team, but just have fun. It's worth more than $25. I was like, do I even do this? Because it's the $25 is kind of cheesy, but we just wanted to have fun with it, to be honest. So grab some time. It will be well worth it for you and your team because you can get your specific questions answered, right? You can talk about your merchant, in that confidential space and figure out what's the best tactic to sell this, not just from a product perspective, but from a sales perspective. How have we closed, these accounts in the past? So use that link. I would say a couple tools that I would like to just mention. Sam's time, super valuable. Get on the calendar. Also know that in addition to Sam's time, our support team will do demos for you and you can schedule that out. It's been super popular in the last 2 weeks, like since the beginning of the year, it's kind of been scheduled out like almost a week in advance. So folks are using that. But we have found our 2020 numbers, 40% of the people that actually get on a demo actually sign up with you. 40% is a pretty dang good closing rate. So get on Sam's schedule for your training, but also don't, take advantage of the demos until you build that confidence and feel like you can do that demo yourself.
love it. Awesome, Eric. Well, thanks for hosting. I'm a little insecure that my hosting job might go away.
Dude, it's all yours. Thanks for having me. And I appreciate you guys. Watch for emails. Sam's going to be following up with you, provide some resources. And, if there are additional items, especially in the sales training that you feel like would be beneficial, I'm certainly very interested. You can reply back to Sam. And thanks for spending 30 minutes with PayTrace today.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.